Welcome, everybody. It is, well, it's not really the fifth Tuesday of the month, but it's the rescheduled fifth Tuesday of the month. This is the Holistic Healing Circle's Conscious Conversation series, and I am interviewing one of my dear friends this month, and I'm excited to introduce you to her. We have known each other since like 2009, 2010, I think it was that we first met. And we were introduced through a like-minded mutual friend that we had. And that friend, shortly after introducing us to each other, like literally like days, weeks, months after introducing us to each other, she moved across the country. And it just kind of left her and I to get to know each other and bridge the gap that was left with our friend moving away. And we found that we had a great connection, a great like-mindedness. We were both on our own healing evolutionary journeys. And she added some pieces to my journey. I know I've added some pieces to her journey. And all along, although I wouldn't say we've traveled parallel per se, we've gone in similar journeys that have expressed themselves in different ways with different focuses at different times. But the essence of everything that we have experienced over the past decade plus of friendship and sisterhood really has been the same thing. And I often say that she's one of the few people that just speaks the same language that I speak and understands and naturally steps into this more expanded I describe it as a holistic perspective, but this full perspective of what it is that we're doing as individual beings and how life is unfolding around us, and bringing that wholeness to the table, I know has made a huge difference in my life. I watch and listen to it happen to my friend as well. And just some basics on joy. My friend I'm introducing you to, she is an artist, she is a writer, she is a Reiki master and teacher. She lives love and has a commitment to living love day in and day out. She brings it to every piece of art that she engages with, every person that she engages with, and every action that she takes in the world. She has a compassionate heart. She's opened her home to a ministry of kittens and cats that she is a great savior and steward of. And I'm just honored that she is a friend of mine. I'm honored for the past time that we have spent together, and always look forward to what the future holds for our friendship. And when I thought about this series, this conscious conversations, and who I would talk to and what conversations I would want to have, naturally joy came to mind. So I introduced to you just overall human extraordinaire, Joy Ayscue. And I'm so honored and grateful that you took time, Joy, to sit down with us. And, this is not a high pressure conversation. We've had so many conversations that on the other side, we're like, why didn't we record this? Because so much brilliance has come to us and through us when we've come together in connection, in communion, and in conversation. So I trust fully the same thing is going to happen in today's conversation. But welcome and thank you so much for being here. And if there's anything else you'd like to say that I haven't covered about our connection or yourself, feel free to add that.
Well, our connection is a gift. I mean, I really believe it's a gift from God, and our relationship has grown and blossomed into something really mature and deep and really unbreakable. And it's because we've made that commitment that there will be no separation between us. We have different opinions about things, some different beliefs about various subjects. And we're able to conquer the divide, because really there is no divide. There is no other. And what I love about our relationship is that we do challenge each other, and it's not just, it's not challenging beliefs. It's challenging each other to become all that we're meant to be, and to have that sisterhood, that soul connection with someone where you can share everything is so vital. And it actually, it goes into like some of the tools and things that I wanted to share in our conversation today. And one of them is telling the truth, and to have someone, to be in relationship where the truth it becomes essential. And it's sacred, and it's honored. And I'm so happy and so grateful that I have that with you. I'm also blessed to have that with my husband. And I really feel like it's really essential to have someone like that in your life. Because when we are able to really, it's confession. When we're able to share our innermost being, whether it's, shadow or light, when we're able to share that with someone who is holding a sacred space for that to be shared in unconditional love, there's something that is healed, not only within ourselves, but in the world. And yeah, I mean, I really think that if you want this type of relationship, ask for it and be open to it, because it might come in a form that doesn't look like what you would think it would look like. I mean, you and I are 20 years,
Joy's like pretty much exactly my mom's age. And but it's something I never think about except for to quantify things and to express not even who joy is, but as a descriptor. That's the only time that it ever seems to like really come into to factor. And I totally agree. I think that our friendship, our relationship, our commitment to living love in our own lives and living our truth and living that wholeness that we are and that someone else is, and living in that connected state of understanding relationship and how you experience another is a lot of what you are actually experiencing of yourself. And to be able to continue to stay footed, because we've certainly had moments where we've had to step out of our differences and come back to the common ground that we hold between us. And when you are committed to that common ground, when you're committed to that full acceptance and that radical love and that commitment to seeing that there is no enemy here except for what I allow to divide me from my connection with this other person, I think it's a great testament to what's possible in relationship. And I think that it's a great example for where we're headed and what's necessary for this new world that's unfolding around us each and every single day, because that how we treat one another and how we're able to connect with one another, and that ability to find common ground and stand on a consistent rock of love together and let the rest just be details. It does take a amount of maturing, and it takes an amount of allowing. It takes an allowing to have a relationship that will come into your life to be this way, and an allowing for it to remain present, because the thing that we have in common is that we're both also willing to look at our own stuff. So if I know for myself, and feel the same to be true for you, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But when I run into a conflict in any of my relationships, but especially with someone like you that I know is committed to this bigger truth, I am not afraid. And in fact, the first thing that I go to is looking at myself in the situation, looking at what doubts and fears and reservations and limited beliefs are being stoked within me about myself, instead of just bringing that projection of what I'm feeling that is a reflection of myself back over to that other person.
Mhm.
So that is something that's a skill set to develop. It's a lot of what I talk about, here in the healing circle in particular, because we think, this is just about getting right within ourselves or getting right with another person. But really, how you experience life is how you experience yourself, and how you experience life is how you experience your interaction and your relationship back to yourself in relationship to these other people, individuals, and circumstances. So yeah, it's not something that just happens and is easy and we're just soul sisters and that's the way it is. It's a conscious choice that we've made, not even about each other, but our commitment to ourselves. And that commitment to ourselves keeps us coming back to that common ground over and over again, or at least that's what I've witnessed and have felt over our years of friendship,
Mhm.
no matter what the challenge is. Because when we first met, you were estranged from your husband at the time. And me and my husband were at a very challenging place as well. So we had very similar things that were happening, but very different in how they express themselves. And I know you haven't always agreed with my choices, and I haven't always agreed with your choices, but we understand that underlying motivation behind them. And we're willing to be honest and forthcoming, and not take on the whole relationship for ourselves. So I also am very appreciative of it. And I think that it not only is a lovely gift into my life, but I love the example that it can show to others and the potential, especially in such divisive times. People are being
Mhm.
divided over so many different exterior subjects right now. But when you can have that connection back to that common ground, when you can remember you're dealing with another compassionate human on the other side, start with friendships and then extend that out to the strangers and the people that you pass by and the people that
Mhm.
stir you, no matter what your relationship is with them. um any other thoughts on that?
No, I'm complete.
Yeah. So I love talking during these conversations about consciousness and alignment and living consciously, living aligned. Everybody who's been following me, excuse me,
Mhm.
excuse me, has a pretty good understanding of how I approach these things. My 12 steps to holistic restoration, this taking this radical healing approach with yourself. But I would love to know, what does it mean to you to live consciously and live in alignment? Again, because if we sat down and just explained the details of my life and we explained the details of Joy's life, they would look very different. But we know that we're doing the same exact thing, and it's just
Mhm.
expressing in completely different ways. So I would love to know, what does conscious alignment mean to you, because you do express it in such a again, identical way, but totally opposite way than where I'm at and how I'm living my life.
Mhm. Ah, strangely, my I it's not strange. My understanding of conscious alignment has evolved so much over the years, because as I've practiced various tools and methods, I've been able to, find what works for me. And here's the strange part. I was raised Southern Baptist. I never, ever aligned with it. Um, the God they taught wasn't a God that I could honor, love, worship, nothing. Because my understanding of the God they taught um, was basically a a very unpredictable being that could, just send you to hell if you didn't line up with certain expectations. And over my evolution, and before my awakening, I just did away with that God and the church and Jesus and all of that. And so I was very, very open when I had my awakening, because I had done away with my preconceived ideas, because I'd done away with God altogether. But what I came to understand is that it was God that caused me to awaken, and it was God that guided me forward. And it is now my understanding of conscious alignment, is to, like they used to say, get straight with God. And it's just really weird for me to say that. Just a moment. Because I remember when I was like in the youth group in church, they made us go around to houses, knocking on doors, handing out pamphlets and testifying to, like, how you have to be saved so you go to heaven, and that, this is the only way to do it. And I remember I absolutely hated that. I hated it. But I didn't understand why I hated it. I just hated it because I thought I was very awkward at it. And I was, because I wasn't straight with God, because I didn't even, I didn't have this relationship with God that I developed after I did away with all my ideas of God and let God inform me of what God is. And that changed everything. And what I learned is that there's two words in Christian mysticism that are really, really powerful. The first one is metanoia. And that's the word that is used to describe when Jesus said to repent, but it really means to change your mind. It means to empty your mind and let God fill it. And over my evolution, which was so organic, if you allow God to work on you, you're led a pretty straight path if you begin to learn to listen. And so I was led into these natural practices, what I afterwards learned to be first meditation, and then centering prayer. And then I understood that I had been doing this metanoia, this emptying of my mind, this allowing God to change my mind in these practices. And then the second word, kenosis, is an emptying of yourself, which I think I really misunderstood the term surrender. We, in the spiritual community, we talk about surrender. And I really didn't understand it fully. I thought it was like, not my will, but thy will. But what I've come to understand it's a complete surrender of yourself, of your ego, and coming to understand that it really isn't about you. It's not about any single one of us. It's about all of us. And it all boils down, it really all boils, I'm just getting into it, Chrissy. It all boils down to love, of course. And one of the things that, after telling the truth, to myself, about myself, lovingly, and then, to another person who held that sacred space, it illuminates what you can't see yourself, what you don't want to look at, what you can't look at, what you just simply can't see. And in that the illumination is light, and light heals. And so I began to take the Bible verse from Corinthians, do all things with love, really seriously. And this changed my life. Because I began doing everything, even the things that I did not want to do, did not like to do. I began to do them with love. And it makes everything not only possible, but joyful. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And this goes back to, Dale Allen Hoffman's teaching. He's a mutual friend of Chrissy and me. And he's a Aramaic mystic who teaches the actual words that Jesus used and what they mean. And I learned from him the terms the words kuba and rakma, because I asked him, I said, questioned, what was the word that Jesus used when he said God is love? And he said, he used the word kuba, which basically translates to do everything. No, okay, take that back. Kuba is put a filter over your lenses of perception. And the filter is love. And you filter everything you take in. And you filter all of your remembered perceptions as well. And you can also bless your future perceptions, which helps you, be able to perceive truth with this filter of love. But the other word that goes with it, Rakma, is to put a filter of love over every word you speak, every action you do, and every thought that you have. And the two together, it boils down to do all things with love. And the magic that happens, I mean, when you put love into your art, like you said, when you put love into your cooking, when you put love into your work, whatever that work may be, wherever that work may be, especially, I mean, now as people are going back to work and, kids are going back to school and everything, just think if everybody had that filter of love over everything they perceived and everything that they projected into the world, it would be amazing. So yeah, get straight with God. At least for me, that's what it all boiled down to. But getting straight with God entailed getting rid of God, which I've actually found some really powerful and what I think are aligned teachers that have said that this is basically what everyone needs to do, is to just forget everything you've ever learned and have that devotion and that dedication to spend that time with your God, whatever your idea of God is, or get rid of that idea and just let whatever God is, which is love, fill you up. Yeah. And it's very weird that I'm saying this. And it's also
weird to you because you know your whole story, right?
Yeah,
Is that what you mean? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And and that someone that had, really dissed God so badly, is now called upon to share the love of God with others. So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of, the first tip for sure that I'm going to highlight for those that are watching this conversation and looking to take away some actionable steps, which we're going to ask Joy what her first steps would be. And I'm sure they're going to drip out throughout our conversation as well, but do all things with love, even and especially the things that you don't love. I think that that's a really amazing, powerful practice. It's absolutely aligned with the approach that I take into my life as well, and the philosophy that I look to integrate whenever I'm feeling anything less than love and God's presence at work in my life. And that's actually one of my steps for my 3-step process for creating heaven on earth, is to love the hell, like quite literally love the hell out of everything. So it doesn't matter if you're scooping the kitty litter or scrubbing the kitchen wall, bring some love and appreciation, because it will not change the fact that you have to do these tasks, but it will 100% change your experience of doing that task. And I dare say, ultimately will change you, because just like you so beautifully said, in that state, you are allowing God to change your mind. It stops being about you. It's always about you, and it has nothing to do with you at the same exact time, which is one of the beautiful paradoxes of this world. And that's why it's so challenging to really step into this other way of living, because we're so used to it being either or and fitting into one box or the other. It's either something that we love or something that we don't love. And how can we get rid of the stuff that we don't love and only have the stuff that we do love? Well, one of the most powerful and instantaneous ways to do that is that you bring love to the things that you don't love. So look for ways that you can love it. I know for myself, I didn't love scrubbing my wall. The day that I had this realization, I was literally scrubbing a wall. I was like, oh, love the hell out of everything. That's what you do. I didn't love scrubbing the wall. And I just thought, like, why do I have to do this? And I was like, how many times have I walked past this wall? How many times have I even stopped to recognize the fact that I have a wall here, like really paid attention to it? When's the last time I told this wall, thank you? This wall doesn't have to be told to stand here. I don't have to do anything to make it stand there. Day in, day out, even without with my neglect and without my recognition, it is here, making my house happen day in and day out. And I fell in love with that daggone wall. I loved it. And then I got to be the steward of cleansing this wall that stands here faithfully day in and day out, giving me shelter, keeping me warm, protecting my family, holy amazingness. How lucky am I to have a wall to scrub?
Mhm.
And it is that simple and that instantaneous. And it doesn't change the fact that you have to scrub that wall. What's that old wise saying? Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do the same exact thing. And that's one of the tricks that I think's been played on us, or part of the story that's been left out, or, been wrapped up tidy little package for us to follow along, is this idea that once you achieve this enlightenment, this awakened state of being, this conscious alignment, then that means you're just going to be in this constant state of flow, which is this month. For the month of September, that's our this month focus in the holistic healing circle. We're going to get into the level of flow, and what does that mean? So is it this constant state of being where nothing ever bothers you, nothing can ever penetrate your force field, and everything's surrounded with all the things that you love the most? That's what we've kind of got painted into our head for various different reasons. But a lot of us carry that belief. A lot of us have been sold that belief. A lot of marketing depends on that belief. So you
Mhm.
buy their answer and their solution. And not to say there's not great answers and solutions out there, but none of them are going to do it for you. None of them are going to show up and make you love scooping that kitty litter. That's an inside job. That part is your responsibility, your ability to respond to the divine as it unfolds in front of you. And your experience is a direct reflection of
Mhm.
how you dress that situation, not how that situation dresses itself. So I love this idea of doing all things with love. I think I even have a t-shirt that you gave me that says that same exact thing. Do all things with love, speak words with love. And I love this idea of, and of course, I hang around you all the time. So a lot of what you're saying is not the first time I've heard these words and these concepts, but I love that reminder of Kuba and Rakma. And I love this idea of, emptying yourself out and allowing God to fill you up, allowing love to fill you up, allowing wholeness to fill you up. Um, really, really, really great concepts. I confer. They're powerful, they're radical, and they're nothing other than concepts if you just sit there and blah, blah, blah about how other people should be doing it. And
Mhm.
instead, focus your attention on how you can do this more. And if you can't do it for the rascals that surround you, because you haven't gotten to a place of radical love and acceptance and unconditional giving of love, then you do it for you, because daggone it, you're surrounded by rascals and they're sure as heck not going to help you out. So you need to do it for yourself. It is your responsibility. And to me, that's consciousness, taking that awareness that your life is your direct responsibility as far as how you experience it.
Mhm.
And yeah, I really, really love that. So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
You've found all of this to be very practical and something that was beneficial, or at least intrigued your curiosity to dive more into it. What really led you to start living more consciously, to start living more aligned? Was there like a tipping point for you? Was it just kind of a random stumbling into it and here you are living this love? Or was there something that really piqued you? Because I know some people watching this, we're all in our different journeys and we're all in our different phase in our journey. And some people watching this are going to be totally in alignment and resonance with what you're saying. And some people are going to really love the idea, but feel like maybe they can't step into that because of their circumstances, or just even the thought of waiting for what's that thing that's going to spark them to get started. What is it that led you to start living this way, and what effects have you felt from the other side of it? It's kind of like a before and after in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh, well, my before um, was that I was an effing mess. I really was. I went for decades um, living in separation from my true self, which really most most of society is there because they don't know their true selves. Um, but I was definitely separated from mine, um, and and it resulted in mental illness. I mean, to a degree where I was I was on what was supposed to be permanent Social Security disability for bipolar disorder. And I was, besides all of the medications that the doctors, prescribed, I was also self-medicating. And I was also binge drinking, which the binges were, beginning to come more often, like, twice a week. And I was not living the morals that I was taught when I, was growing up, at all. I mean, I was just so separated from goodness, and true love. And I was listening to Dale Allen this morning, and he was talking about the word that Jesus uses for what was it? Basically, it's other, and it's Satana, and when you're divided from yourself, there's the other, and when you're divided from yourself, everything is other. And that is, the spirit of separation is the Antichrist. The Christ spirit is unity. The Antichrist is other. It's separation. And you have, I had it within myself. I had it within my family, it's within, our communities, it's within our churches, it's within our politics. It's as long as there's an other, that is the spirit of the Antichrist. There's not some, person that is going to arise with horns and all that. It's already here. It's just like heaven is already here, and we can choose. We can choose.
Just have to have the eyes to see it and the ears to hear it, right?
Yeah, and the heart to open
Hard
to
to receive.
it.
Yeah.
And it will literally not only inform you but form you. And you do go through a formation period. Mine has, it's 15 years old this year, 16, I don't know. 2006 was my awakening, which I know some people have these. Mine was totally unexpected, came out of, it says, that Jesus will return in the blink of an eye. That's what happened. I was just touched by love, and I didn't know what it was. I mean, it was like just everything was love. I woke up one day and everything was love. And I had received a reiki treatment from a person that I only knew online. And she lived in New York, and she sent it distance. And this was probably a week before I had this awakening to love. And so I started studying Reiki, and that got me into studying spirituality, consciousness, metaphysics, physics, math. I mean, it just opened a whole new world to me because everything was connected. And that also, seeing these connections really, because the metaverse is the same as the microverse. Everything is one. And I just I wanted that oneness. So I began to live into it as best I could and as best I understood. And with that devoted heart to it, I think it really takes devotion, it takes dedication, it takes making that way of life a necessity. Because it's not like go to a retreat and you're done. Like you said, you practice, not just every day, but with every breath. Even your breath can be a practice. I mean, it's like your breath is God.
Yeah, say that we both share a favorite line from Dale Allen Hoffman. He is a master, just a master of the Aramaic language, and he is on a path of his own ministry, bringing to light, like Joy had already mentioned, the original teachings, what Jesus would have spoken as he walked this earth, sharing his message, and not the translated, I'm going to say watered down versions that get translated and mistranslated and quite literally made up before it gets to to our hands and in current day. And Joy, that was one of the most profound instantaneous gifts, other than just the gift of her friendship, that Joy brought into my life. I definitely had already started my own kind of awareness of there being more to life, more to myself, more that I was able to receive and live into. And when I met Joy, she's like, this guy, Dale Allen Hoffman, he's coming, he teaches us Aramaic. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that really calls to me. I don't know. It sounds interesting. It's intriguing. But as soon as I was introduced to him and his work, she's like, just listen to him and then let me know if you want to go. And she sent me some audios. I listened to them and I instantly had found my brother from another mother who put into words, and not just words, the words that Jesus spoke and how he brings them through, so lined up and just made things make sense and click and filling gaps, and just brought this bridge of traditional approach to Christianity, the influence that I had as a kid growing up, which was not as much as what Joy was influenced as a kid growing up, but everything that I come to discover on my own in my own explorations into Christianity and spirituality and just living in general. And here came Dell, dripping like warm honey, soothing my soul with his beautiful voice and grasp on the Aramaic language. And literally just listening to him is a healing experience, even if you don't even know what he's saying. Just if you just pull up one of his Aramaic speakings. But that's kind of the point, that this is a vibrational experience, not a see, touch, feel one, the way that we commonly interpret it. I digress a bit, but check him out, DaleAllenHoffman.com. You can just put in Dale Aramaic and it will come up. Aramaic. Did I spell that right? And he's definitely on YouTube, tons of videos, hours of information that you can just download, listen to, pull up, just listen to him. If it calls to you, if you're at all slightly interested, go check out his work, Dale Allen Hoffman.
And I would add that, please, if you've been turned off by any church, any religion, just listen. And also, it's like I tell people who, don't, have a faith. I say, just try doing what Jesus wanted us to do, and basically that is love one another.
You don't have to claim all the beliefs, and especially all the modern display of the beliefs, in order to practice what really works. And that goes for any religion, quite
Mhm.
frankly. If you can just start there, it's kind of like, I heard a gal one day say, my friend just started doing the keto diet and I was going to do it, but that means I'd have to give up potatoes. So I can't do that. If you just did everything and kept the potatoes in, you're still going to see a difference than if you just keep doing what you're doing. So if you can't ascribe to all of it, or commit to all of it, or sign off on all of it, or even interested in engaging in all of it, still allow yourself to open this door and just hear, so that you know what is out there in the world, and it may or
Mhm.
may not be for you.
Mhm.
Most people that I turn on to Dale's work really find value in it. And I have turned people on that are, like Joy said, that are not at all into anything religious or standard religion. And I've turned people on that are really interested in Christianity and just really want to know everything and as much as they can find. And if you haven't added this Aramaic study into your Christian studies, if you are somebody of that faith or really feels called towards that faith, then I highly encourage you just to listen to it. It may not be for you, but just give it a listen, because he
Mhm.
brings through some profound, undeniable wisdom that is good to know, even if you don't want to, jump on board with the whole thing. But
Absolutely.
being able to put it into such words does make it a lot more practical and tangible, does allow you to have a deeper understanding of how to apply lessons that are handed through biblical teachings. And I bring all of this up because there's one thing that Dale says often that I still return to often, and it shows up in my teaching often, about breath. Do you want to share what it is? Yep.
I'm pretty sure I know. Is it is are you breathing or is God breathing you?
Yes. This It is a profound check-in question. Anytime that you are feeling harried and overwhelmed with life, anytime I am feeling that way, I check back in. Am I
Mhm.
breathing, or am I being breathed through?
Mhm.
Just sitting with that question, I mean, just saying it gives me chills, but sitting with that question and really capturing what that means, and to come to a profound realization of, yes, your lungs are working to move that air, or is the air working to move your lungs?
Mhm.
Are you here doing what you need to do, or are you here being lived through? And how you answer that question and how you experience the answer to that question will again directly determine which path you walk forward on. Because
Yep.
anytime that I return to the fact that, oh, I was breathing for myself there for a minute, let me remind myself that I'm actually being breathed through. I can just kind of push away all the muck and cloudiness and just focus on connection and love. So
Mhm.
it leads me to, even in moments of intense frustration, where all of my ego and all of my personality and all of my survival self steps forward and wants to engage in some kind of conflict, it allows me to say, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know that I'm right. I don't know if you're right, but I do know that I love you.
Mhm.
And I do know that I'm committed to love and peace and understanding and compassion. And when you
And
can
here, go ahead,
Go ahead. I
finish.
was just going to say, when you can bring that in, it opens
Oh.
up options and possibilities. It literally makes way for a miracle, because you set the stage for something different to take place instead of just the acting out. Go ahead.
Mhm. And this is gonna be my last point because my battery is almost out.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, the only reason we're here is to learn how to love and learn how to be loved. And everything else is just experience, which you can take advantage of and turn into wisdom if you live love, you know? It's like just love. And like you said, the rest is just details.
Yeah,
Details. Yeah. Yeah, my
absolutely.
battery's running out.
Well,
It's
I
good.
think we've really hit like the highlights of what was on my heart to, bring forth today. I wanted people to get introduced to you, your writing, your art, your Reiki work. I mean, just if you're at all intrigued what would be the best way for people to connect with you? Just send you an email, or do you have somewhere to direct them to?
They can contact me on Facebook.
Mhm.
Either I have my art profile and also my personal profile, Joy Haney Ayscue. It's probably better to message me under the personal profile.
What I'll do,
Um,
I'll drop some links. I'll get links from
okay,
you, direct links from you, and I'll drop them in the description. But they can look
okay,
for you on Facebook for sure.
yeah, and
And
then they can email me at consciousjoy@gmail.com.
absolutely, absolutely. And anybody who is ever looking for Reiki training ever, I always send them over to Joy. She was my Reiki teacher for my last 2 levels of Reiki, and she really takes it from a place of Reiki being love and understanding the energy of love, which I really think is beneficial, and obviously not something that comes through in all Reiki master teacher training. So definitely reach out to her if you're interested in that. I'm putting down your tips to do all things with love, to be devoted and committed, because I completely agree. Like the first step to overcoming overwhelm is that you got to be committed to overcoming overwhelm. Because if you're not committed, you might as well just stay in your overwhelm.
Yeah.
And to be with your breath and check in with yourself. Are you the one that's breathing, or are you being breathed through?
Mhm.
Any final thoughts? I know you're running low on juice over there.
Um, and part of, well, the major part of my practice, my devotion is to spend time with God, however you do it, but devote special time with just you and God, however you think of it, but know that it's love. It's like any relationship, you know, that you develop by spending time with that person. Spend time.
Yeah. And if you don't even know what that means, then just start with spending time with yourself
Mhm.
in stillness. And sometimes that's a big enough challenge in itself.
Yeah.
But to get to know God, you get to know you. To get to know you, you get to know God.
Mhm. Absolutely. I love you.
I love you. Thank you so much for this
Thank
conversation.
you.
If y'all watching have any thoughts, or if you got any aha moments, if you got anything to add, drop it in the comments below. We love to keep this conversation going. And if you're like, hey, I live really consciously and aligned, and I want to have a conversation with Chrissy, then let me know, because I'll probably keep this going. I know we got another date coming up in November that's got a 5th Tuesday, and I have somebody on deck for that. But we can certainly look forward, because I think I'm going to be doing these more and more and more, because I love the conversation and I appreciate the perspective. I appreciate your time and your commitment and devotion, Joy. It not only makes a difference in your world and in your family's world, but the world as a whole, and it makes a difference in my world. And for that, I'm very grateful.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the
Yes,
after is amazing. I
totally
mean,
worth it.
like, I have like the most amazing life. Um, and keeps getting better and better and better and better. And I am living proof, of what is possible.
Absolutely. Maybe
Yeah.
we need to do that. Maybe I need to have a special that's just like a miracle special where we have like, just come and share your miracles and breakthroughs and what's happened on the other side, because this journey, it's not always easy. And in fact, a lot of it is not going to be of your ego's preference, but it is so worth it.
And it's
So worth it.
fascinating. It's
And
fascinating.
totally agree with that. And it seems to be ongoing and endless. And what's great about it too is that as soon as you get that little sweetness, as soon as you get a little taste of it, your ego wants that too. And it will be much more compliant than what it may seem like in the beginning. Because a lot of things that I thought used to be discipline and structure, and I just wasn't enough for, I have found, oh, actually, this is how I naturally am when I am aligned and I am settled and I am connected. So
Mhm.
appreciate you, Joy. Thank you, everybody who is
Mhm.
watching. And we will see you. I'll see you next week or tomorrow, actually, in the Healing Circle.
Mhm.
And as we move into the next level of holistic restoration, and then join back in November for another one of these great conversations. Thanks so much, Joy. I love you.
Love you too. Bye bye.
Bye.